Good morning and welcome to Craner's Corner with a daily technical update. This morning we will start with S&P 500. There will be no single stocks, so I will do an update later on all the magnificent seven, so to speak. It is the 6th of January and we are back to normal here in most workplaces. But here we have S&P 500 that had a good day Friday. Ended the week well, despite the fact that it dipped below the support here at 5,864 a couple of times, tested the lows here in this gap area here, tested the lows here at 5,832 in the Thursday session, and we are set for a higher open, and it seems like new money is coming into the market and lifting it. There's still divergence on the weekly chart, as you can see, so we are still in a uptrend exhaustion mode, but again, trust the trend, and for now it is still up. Our bullish on all both short term and medium term. Nasdaq 100 also managed to bounce from 20,896. Key support there after dipping below Friday. Had a good day Friday. And it is set for higher levels. So I think as long as this support here holds and it doesn't close below, well then we are likely to push higher here in at least the first couple of weeks. Dow Jones index, well, it dipped below the support here at 42,221, but never closed below. So there's still a chance we could bounce higher in the coming days. If it takes out 43,000, then we could see it trying to push back above the cloud area, so keep an eye on that. But also here we have divergence on the RSI on weekly, so we are a little bit we are showing some uptrend exhaustion. So it is a bit fragile, but we're still in an uptrend. Finally, let's have a look at Seng, what's going on there. We haven't looked at it for a while, but here we can see just below 20,000, still below the cloud. Negative sentiment on the RSI, never closed above 60 threshold, so it is a little bit under pressure, and if it takes out or closes below 19,591, then I think we'll see a sell-off down to 19,000. However, we have the 100 moving average coming up there, giving some support, and the weekly chart, still positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, indicating we're likely to see it bounce higher. But it will be a struggle as we have the 200 moving average here on the weekly coming down, putting a lid on it, so to speak. It needs to get back above the cloud area here for really an upside potential. EUROSTOXX 50 got beaten back down Friday. Here pre-market we are up about 0.5%, but 49.17 seems to be a struggle, and the 200 moving average is really the key here. We are still in positive sentiment, no divergence, but we had this top and reversal pattern, so that's what we are still trying to see if we can get back above the 49.17. If it gets back, it takes out the peak here from the 2nd of January, then I think we'll see a push towards the 5,000. But for now, we are under pressure. Below 4,800, well, then we are likely to push even lower, than we are in a negative territory. Here, pre-market, we can see we are trying to push higher again on the future and the CFD. DAX index still struggling, 20,104. That is the gap area here, needs to close for further upside potential. However, positive sentiment on the RSI indicating we're likely to see DAX pushing higher, but it is not convincing. CAC 40 is had a bad day Friday and bouncing a little bit pre-market. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, but it doesn't look too good. I mean, we are below the cloud, never closed above for a very long time, so it is likely to be under pressure for quite some time. On the forex market and your dollar, the bounce continues after reaching these 102.25 support level here, 102.20. It dipped down to that just 102.25 in this support area here. However, we are in a downtrend. It is in an exhausted mode, as you can see. Divergence now on the RSI. RSI values are higher than over here, so we could see a further bounce. If it takes out 103.45, then we can see a further bounce up to maybe 104.60, but I'm not quite sure we'll get up there before I think we'll see selling pressure will resume on euro dollar. Cable, same picture really. 124.85. 125 level, I would say, adjust this a little bit here, so 124.75. I think it could be tested possibly today. There's also downtrend exhaustion, at least short term, but we are in a bearish trend also on the weekly chart, as we can see here. 123 key support. If it takes out that, then we're looking at 120, 121. The euro sterling cross. Euro sterling can't really make up its mind. It's still in this falling trend line or falling channel here of a wedge-like pattern. It really needs to take out 83.75 for establish a bullish trend. The yen pairs, well, dollar yen still sideways, 158.10. If it takes out those peaks here, well, then we'll see a dollar yen most likely to resume uptrend towards 162.5. If it takes out 155.95, well, then we have a correction at least down to 154.48, maybe a little bit lower, but we have all moving averages coming up here, so the upside pressure is still there for dollar yen. Euro yen also indecisive, trying to get back, and it is actually currently back above the 55 moving average. It bounced from the 100 and bounced from the cloud area here. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating likely to push higher. And what I will do, I will remove this one Fibonacci there, and then I will add this and say, okay, what we can do, we'll probably see a push here towards the at least the 61.8 retracement, 163.37, but if it takes out 164.90, well, then there's potential up to the 168 level. The Aussie yen also at least this morning in a good mood, but it needs to get back above 99.40 and above the cloud area here. Still negative sentiment on the RSI, so it could still turn sour. We are below the 55 that is declining and the 100 moving average, so still a bit under pressure there. So I'll be cautious with Aussie yen for a while. Sterling yen bouncing from the 38.2 retracement and from the upper cloud area, and if it continues, and I think it will, then we'll see the sterling yen testing the previous peak area here at around 198.96 and 199.72. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at much higher levels, and positive sentiment on the RSI supporting the bullish view. Aussie dollar continuing its bounce. It's not convincing, but I think we will see it bouncing higher. Testing the upper falling trend line is in the cards. Divergence on the RSI. You can see the RSI values have been they are higher here than they are here, indicating trend exhaustion, at least short term. Medium term, what is key to what's out, we can see 61.70 was very close to. So these areas, I think we'll see a strong rebound here in January. If it takes out 63.35 around this level here, well, then there's potential higher towards a 65. But let's cross that bridge when we get to that one. For now, it will be the upper falling trend line that could be a bit of resistance. Dollar Canada pausing a little bit. 144.67. The previous peak here is needs to be taken out for further upside potential. If it takes out 143.35, then expect a correction down to around 142.20, possibly lower. But there's no divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels after a correction here on dollar Canada. The sterling Canada, well, we had this shoulder-like pattern that has unfolded, the neckline there indicating potential down to around 177. However, if it moves back above the neckline here and the rising trend line here, well, then I think that will be over and we will see it pushing higher. Still, there's some divergence here on the RSI, indicated the trend exhaustion, but the RSI bounced from the 40 threshold, so let's see. And here we have the sterling Canada also bounced from the cloud area just above 178. So it could be caught range bound here for the next few days. The arrows indicate the downtrend potential to 177. Euro Swiss is still in this ascending triangle-like pattern. It's not the best one, but what is it key to what is that higher lows here and also had a higher high there, just well, marginally, but still positive sentiment on the RSI, but it needs to take out and close above 94.50 for upside potential to the 200 moving average and the 95 level. If it takes out the lower falling trend line there, then downtrend is likely to resume below 93. Dollar Swiss also pausing a little bit, but it's still in a bullish trend. Slightly RSI divergence indicating uptrend exhaustion, so we could see a correction if it takes out breaks below the rising trend line there. Well, then expect a correction down to around 90 level in this area here, where we have some support. And let's just draw a trend line. There will be or horizontal line. So around this level, just below 90, we could see a correction down to that. On the dollar index, also pausing a little bit after this spike higher, but if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see there's still a further upside potential, but also here expect a correction down to around 108. If it takes out the lows from over the holiday period, let's see here, around these levels here, they would be key. 107.55, 107.30, then expect a larger correction. Gold got rejected at the 55 moving average and the upper part of the cloud here on the 3rd of January in Friday. Now it's testing the 100 moving average, so that will be key. Can it get back above? Can it get above the 55 moving average? Can it get back above the cloud? That will be key here the next few days. Or will it slide lower? But the key support is down here, 25.46 for at least the medium-term view also. So it's a little bit indecisive, and but what can be seen is that we should take into account we actually have a little bit of an uptrend here. You can see lower lows and a lower high, but it is fragile, so wait for a breakout. However, on the weekly, there's still excuse me, there's still positive sentiment, and there's no divergence on the RSI indicating likely higher highs, but we had this top and reversal pattern. We're forming this kind of triangle-like pattern that I will dig a little bit more into. What we can see is that if we on the daily, let's just do a trend line there. So that's we have it. It could test this lower falling trend line. If it takes it out, well, then we could see further downside pressure, but it's not really there yet. But we could see that. Silver. 29.90 is key. You can see it tested more or less smack bang on there Friday. It needs to get back above. Then we have a double bottom pattern that gives a potential to 31. Otherwise, there would be a range bound. And if it takes out 28.74, well, then there is a downside potential lower to 27.68. On the copper. The copper has been on pressure, but it has bounced just above 400 and is bouncing further. But if it takes out that, then we're looking at 392. But let's see. Negative sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, indicating we could see lower levels. And yes, look out for the 400 level. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at 392, possibly lower. On the energy side, we have WTI Crude Oil in a bullish trend after taking out minor resistance at 72.80 and above the cloud. So we talked about it last week. There's potential up to 77, 78 level here. 200 moving average will give some resistance, but we are in a bullish trend, at least short term there. And the Brent Crude Oil, also the same picture, but it's lacking a little bit, but it did close above the resistance, and there's now potential up to the 80 area. A positive sentiment on the RSI indicating just that. On the Dutch TTF gas, seems like we're in for a bit of correction, despite it's been colder here in Northern Europe. But it was anticipated. So let's see if it can get a correction down to around 46.35. But medium term, we can see we are in a bullish trend, higher highs, higher lows, with potential up to the 56, 57 level. Strong resistance area here coming back from the 23 level. On the Henry Hub Nat Gas, US gas, we are in a correction phase. It really needs to close above $4 for further upside potential. But of course, the American consumers will not be happy to see if that unfolds. And I'm not quite sure it will at the moment. $4 it needs to close above for further upside potential. The US 10-year Treasury yields has been testing, or this morning testing the previous peak here. If it takes out 464, well, then there's potential higher to 470 at least, and possibly higher. We can see here on the weekly chart what's actually going on, 473.5. That's the previous peak there. And we are in a bullish trend, short term and medium term. We could have seen a bigger correction here. If it takes out the lows here from last week at 451, well, then we could see 442, 444 being tested before another bounce. We are in a bullish trend on the short and medium term. So the 2-year Treasury yields caught range bound here between 415 and 435. It needs to close above. It did not close above. What I will do, I will adjust this. Say, okay, if it takes out 437.6, 438, well, then there's potential up to 466. On the EuroBund future, took out its lows here Friday and is continuing lower this morning. So there's potential now down to the 786 retracement, 131.85. Negative sentiment on the RSI is supporting lower levels, and I think we'll see that. So really also higher 10-year yields in Europe. And the UK Gilts, the bounce couldn't really hold on up to the 38.2 retracement. If it takes out 91.64, which is the spike down here from last week, well, then we're looking at 91.90 level here, the previous lows. Cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin very close to test the 99,887 resistance. I would actually say 100,000. If it takes out 100,000, then I think we'll see a push higher towards new highs. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, and if RSI closes above 60 threshold, well, then I expect new highs on the Bitcoin crypto. And here on Ethereum, in a bullish trend, if it takes out 37.22, and also especially if RSI closes above 60 threshold, then expect a push towards 4,100. That's all for today. Talk to you again later.